It didn't take but, I don't know, 30 seconds before we realized how fortunate we would be to work with Graham Grace Walker. He is one of the finest artists out there. He works with his lovely wife, Kristen, and what they pulled off for the time constraints and the budgetary constraints were completely invisible to the film. The film looked as if we were, you know, unrestricted in any way. It really was the environment that was going to tell you what this killer was, who he intended to be, how he saw himself, and what he had planned for his victims, or what he would hope his lasting impact on the world would be. It all was on the shoulders of Grace to make that happen through his work, and he did so just so beautifully.
I knew it was going to be a very visual picture, and it was kind of really different stuff. Something I hadn't really, you know, kind of been involved with before. The lair, one of the major sets in the picture, was right from the beginning a hard thing to find. We came to Atlanta, and we knew we didn't have money to build all the stuff for the lair, so we had to find a location that was suitable, which happened to be an old school. A lot of the stuff that we came up with was we were just enhancing what was already in the script. And I think the ideas that we may have made better, we just built within the location itself, I guess. We were very fortunate with the operation room to find the old, I think it might have been an old kitchen in the school with tile walls and everything like that. And I briefed Kristen, the set decorator, about what we'd really like, and I think she went out and found some terrific stuff and had a lot of her ideas as well. And it turned out to be a pretty good looking set. The spider room kind of changed a lot until we finally found a basement under an old hospital here in Atlanta. I think the cages were always in the initial script, but to me, cages and chains are always kind of menacing and kind of freaky, especially if you consider human beings locked in cages. And I did some sketches of the room based on the location we had, and we found cheap mesh somewhere, and Kristen found that, so we welded all that together and brought it down into the location. I think probably the most difficult set to build, well, not difficult, but in as much as the parameters we had to build the trophy room so it wouldn't burn down, because we were shooting this set on stage, and it had to have large fire elements. So we had to build out of steel, wallboard, and hardy plank, etc. And I guess the trophy room grew out of what we were doing. So we were starting to formulate a look on the fly, if you like. So the trophy room kind of grew from progress of what we were doing along the way. At times I thought, well, I'm not so sure we're going to be able to do this for the money we had, but of course we set out to try and make everything that he wanted. And I think we did a pretty damn good job, you know.
And they were two selfless, wildly dedicated artists that were really responsible for telling the story of who our villain was. And I thought, well, that is an element that's going to set this project apart from any other horror film as well, is that its sets and its design tell a story. It's not just about what splashes against the walls.
This particular movie, in the genre it's in, is stretching it into another realm of horror, if you like. It's got scenes in it that we ain't never seen before. And I think that's going to kind of blow them away.